invited to attend. Please, thank you for this unsolicited testimonial. And now, by special permission of the Commander-in-Chief, me, here is Mars' first space explorer, Colonel Cosmic.
I can't tell you how happy I am to see your smiling faces once more. First, let me say that this trip was made possible only by our dauntless chief, Og the Magnificent, introducer of Og Power, which runs most of our industry, and inventor of Og Speed, which doubles the original Og Power. A short time ago, the master was having trouble with the state limousine. He had, of course, developed the explosive charge. But it was inclined to get a little out of hand, just slightly. And, of course, there was always the problem of friction. Parts rubbing together, heating up, and causing all sorts of trouble. But our leader was undaunted. He immediately ordered our first expedition into space to bring back the secret of how other planets got their state limousines to run smoothly. The target was picked with painstaking scientific accuracy. Destination, Earth. You all know with what eagerness I volunteered for the mission, and with what confidence I took off. I took careful bearings and set out for my goal. It seemed no time till I was approaching a country of Earth called, the United States of America. I set her down like a feather. What's all the racket? Naturally, I protected government property by making the saucer invisible. They're after the chickens, Ma! And though the natives showed great interest in me, I decided to make myself invisible, too. Seeing moving lights in the distance, I headed for them. What phenomenal luck! I had landed close to what seemed to be an endless procession of state limousines. They moved quickly, and yet with fantastic smoothness. I just had to get a closer look at one of those Earthmobiles. Just as I thought. Not only smooth and efficient, but powerful as well. I watched them for hours. Great Ganymede, they were superb. I just couldn't help comparing them with ours, if you call that a comparison. Surely these vehicles must be the property of the highest officials. I was wrong. It seems that almost everybody in this country has one of those, they call them automobiles. They use them for transportation, for business, for pleasure. They use them for all sorts of things. I found that these vehicles gather at places called service stations, where they are fed, lubricated, that's how they beat friction, and given the finest care. The source of their nourishment was something called petroleum. A power source like that must be a highly prized state secret. I had to find out about it. Perhaps the secret lay within this government archives building. It was heavily guarded, but casting discretion to the winds, I walked boldly inside. Their code was remarkably easy to break. They merely substituted the word oil for petroleum. And I soon got hold of a veritable mine of classified information. I began to assimilate the material. I soon found out that though petroleum products are easily found anywhere, petroleum itself is a very elusive substance. Experts have to search for it constantly in all the most likely and unlikely places with all kinds of scientific devices. When they figure they found a good spot, they drill a hole in the ground called an oil well, for almost all oil lies far beneath the surface of the earth. These wells go down thousands of feet and cost a lot of money to drill. But that's no guarantee that they're going to find oil. Matter of fact, in exploratory drilling, only 1 well in 9 finds any oil at all. Only 1 in 44 recovers enough oil to pay for itself. And only 1 in almost 1,000 makes a major discovery. Pretty big odds. Yet America's proved reserves, the oil supplies still underground, have kept increasing steadily. I couldn't imagine how this ever-increasing supply of oil was achieved until I found out that there's not just 1, but thousands of oil companies, all competing with each other to discover and develop new sources of oil. For believe it or not, in the USA, anyone who is willing to risk it can drill for oil. But oil discovery is only part of the story. Once they get oil out of the ground, it has to be moved through pipelines, on ships, or in tank cars to fantastic processing plants called refineries. Crude oil goes in, and great Jupiter, the things that come out. Gasoline, for example, the most efficient mobile power source on Earth. That was the stuff that powered all those cars and trucks. And asphalt, which makes smooth, durable roads. It seems that oil not only runs cars, it even gives them something to run on. Another oil product is the diesel fuel, which runs giant trains across the nation. In winter, fuel oil made from petroleum brings warmth and comfort to millions of homes. And still other fuels help defend America's shores and skies. From refineries also come the lubricating oils and greases that keep the wheels turning in America. But that still isn't all. Crude oil, like everything else, is made up of billions of tiny molecules. And using the magic of research, oil companies compete with each other in taking the petroleum molecule apart and rearranging it into, well, you name it, fabrics, toothbrushes, tires, insecticides, cosmetics, weed killers, a whole galaxy of things to make a better life on Earth. And you know, it isn't just oil companies that try to outdo each other, competing for the customer's dollar. The same story is true of almost every successful business enterprise in America. The result? A higher standard of living in the USA than in any other country on the whole planet. At last, the secret was mine. And now, to get proof of my discovery, smuggled past the border guards. In spite of my infinite precautions, one of them became suspicious and gave the alarm.
Come back for the eggs, did you? Yeah, Pa!
So, with the fond farewells of the natives ringing in my ears, I took off once again for Mars. My landing was a little bumpy, but I saved my precious cargo. Yes, I brought the secrets back with me, and here they are. The big secret is, of course, oil, which has brought a better life to all the people in the USA. But the key to making oil work for everybody is competition. Fellow Martians, I thank you.
Very interesting, Colonel. Oil, huh? Sounds splendid. But that, what was it? Competition. Not our kind of thing at all. Why, competition is downright un-Martian.
Oil? We'll have oil for everybody. That's all we need. Oh, boy, oil!
Look at them. You know what this means, Cosmic?
You bet I do, Og. It means that you're through. So why don't you get lost? Yes, the real secret is not only a great source of energy, but also the freedom to make it work for everybody. And if you have both of these things, any goal is possible. It's Destination Unlimited.
That's no way to answer the phone, Susie.
Oh, Matthew's residence. This is Jimmy. Just a minute, please.
Uncle Bill, Captain Adams wants to talk to you.
Thanks, Jimmy. Hi, Captain. This is Bill. No, we don't usually have ducks answer the phone. That one belongs to Susie. My niece and nephew are visiting me, and I promised to take them on a picnic. Oh? You need that posted today?
If it doesn't stop, there won't be any
No,
picnic.
we don't. The thing is called.
Cracker likes it. Yeah, it's great weather for ducks.
Oh, sure. Glad to do it. Bye. Captain Adams wants this poster I've done for him delivered to him at police headquarters today. I'll drop it off on our way to the park. Good thing I got that phone call. If he hadn't reached me, I wouldn't have gotten it to him on time.
I never thought about that, Uncle Bill.
You never thought about what?
What did people do before the telephone was invented? How did they get messages to each other in a hurry?
Well, while we're waiting for the rain to stop, let's see if we can't find out by playing make-believe.
Oh, good. That sounds like fun.
Now, here's our friend. We'll call him, Mr. Man. He's going to take us back thousands of years, way before telephones or televisions or Telstar.
He looks a little like you, Uncle Bill.
He looks a little like all of us, Jimmy. Ready, Mr. Man?
Man has played many parts during the years he has lived on Earth. So let's make believe we're going back in time.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago?
That's right, when man lived in caves and hunted for their food.
Found a herd of buffalo.
At last, meat for supper.
Run and tell the others to bring weapons, or else supper will run away.
The only way Mr. Caveman knew how to get a message from one place to another was to send a runner. As civilization grew, man's way of life changed. But he still used runners to send messages. The Egyptians used runners. It took 2 days for a Greek runner to bring the news of a great victory.
He is getting tired.
Phew. He discovered he could ride horses. The Romans used horses. So did the knights.
That's a Pony Express rider.
That's right. But man wanted to send messages faster than a runner or a horse could travel.
He's sending an Indian smoke signal.
Right. But only the simplest messages could be sent this way. And none at all if it rained. He learned to use flashing mirrors by daylight and blinking lights when it was dark.
He couldn't send messages very far that way, could he?
No, Jimmy, he couldn't. But man has always been able to solve his problems by inventing new things.
That's a telegraph message.
Yes. About 125 years ago, Samuel Morse invented the telegraph, a way to send code messages over an electric wire. The code was made by using different clicks for each letter of the alphabet. First message sent over 40 miles of wire was, "What hath God wrought?" The telegraph was, and still is, wonderful. But Mr. Man wanted to send his voice over a distance, to carry on a real conversation. Then in 1876, a man named Alexander Graham Bell found a way. He invented the telephone.
Hey, that's your phone, Uncle Bill. Hello, Matthew's residence. This is Jimmy. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
Yes, we got here before the rain started. Uncle Bill's going to take us on a picnic if it lets up.
Fine.
We're playing make-believe. I'll tell you about it when we get home.
Good.
Okay, Mom. Bye. What are you doing, Susie?
She wanted to hear the voice going through the wire.
You can't hear voices in the wire.
Well, how does it work? How'd your mother's voice get in the phone?
That's simple. That's funny. I don't know. I never thought about it before. We were talking as if we were in the same room. How does the telephone work, Uncle Bill?
Magic?
No, not magic, Susie, but science. Science of sound waves and electricity.
How do they work?
We'll let Mr. Man show us.
We'll pretend now he's a musician. All sounds come from a movement of the air, back and forth, like waves.
I don't see any waves.
See the string move back and forth?
I have seen strings and rubber bands move back and forth, but I've never seen a sound wave.
Well, you can't really see them, you hear them. But if you could see them, they'd look like this.
Different kinds of sounds make different kinds of sound waves. A low sound makes a different wave than a high sound.
Hey, Rudolph, that's the wrong note.
You see, people's voices make sound waves too. When we speak, air from our lungs moves vocal cords like these in our throats.
Hey, Rudolph.
This movement makes sound waves and sends them out of our mouths.
Hey! Hey!
When sound waves reach the ear of another person, they make the drum in his ear move back and forth, and he hears the sound the other person is making.
I see. But how do you hear over the telephone?
And we're coming to that.
When Mr. Man speaks into the telephone, the flow of electricity in the wires makes it possible for the other person to hear what Mr. Man is saying, just as quick as a flash.
But how?
Well, when he has dialed his friend, and his friend Rudolph answers, the flow of electricity in the wires connects Mr. Man's telephone through the telephone building to his friend's phone.
Oh.
Rudolph.
Mr. Man's vocal cords make sound waves which go into the mouthpiece of the telephone. These sound waves make the electricity flow stronger and weaker, depending on the sound waves his voice makes. Remember now, that the flow of electricity is changing from strong to weak as it comes from Mr. Mann's telephone. These changes work on the receiver very much the way sound works on your eardrum. The electricity makes a little metal plate vibrate. This vibration makes sound waves come out of the receiver. And so, in a split second, the person on the other end of the line hears the same words Mr. Mann is speaking. And what he hears sounds just like Mr. Mann's voice.
Rudolph, I said that's the wrong note.
Susie. You shouldn't play around with the telephone. Somebody may be trying to... You see? Somebody was trying to call us. Bill Matthews. Would you repeat that slowly, sir? Well, you must have the wrong number. What number are you calling?
It's Mabel Oval there.
Well, not so loud.
Oh, excuse me, doesn't Mabel Oval live there?
I'm sorry, but this is 555-3759. I shouldn't lose my temper, even when people roar into the telephone at me.
Always talking, always talking.
It's a good thing animals don't talk on the telephone.
Say, let's pretend we're at a talking animal circus. Mr. Mann can be the ringmaster.
Sounds like fun.
There we are.
May I draw his whip?
Sure.
Whiskers?
Here. All set, Mr. Mann?
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the greatest, the most sensational talking animal act the world has ever heard. Introducing the lion and the mynah bird.
Miss Myrtle Minor Bird speaking.
How are you?
Please don't roar at me.
What did the lion do wrong, Jimmy?
You don't have to shout into the telephone to be heard.
That's right. Just use your normal speaking voice and speak directly into the mouthpiece.
I'm sorry, Myrtle. Presenting the impatient squirrel and the sleepy bear.
Watch, Jimmy. When you dial, you should make sure you bring your finger all the way around to the finger stop. Then for each number, let the dial go all the way back by itself. Each number, all the way. Then let go. See?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Hello? Now I wonder who that was. Yeah.
He waited too long.
Right. He waited too long to answer. But if you're the person making the call, you should let the phone ring 8 to 10 times. See? Both of them are disappointed.
And now, the preposterous pachyderms. In other words, elephants.
So like I said, I wanted to invite you to a party.
Smarty? Who are you calling a smarty?
No, I said I'm giving a party at my house.
Mouse? Don't you call me a mouse.
What is the matter, Jimmy?
Hello?
I know. It's important to speak clearly on the phone so the other person can understand what you're saying.
Right again, Jimmy.
And now, for our grand finale, the gossipy piggy and the fed-up fox.
Well, guess who was there? Betty. So I said to her, well, how is it every time I go to a sale, I run into you? It's just the funniest thing. Oh.
Excuse me, lady, but I've been waiting to make an important call for 25 minutes.
But I simply must tell Irma about my new hat. Well, now, as I was saying before I was interrupted,
It's selfish and impolite to hog the phone. Somebody may be waiting to use it, or trying to call your house.
Gee, that was fun. I hope nobody's being selfish on Bobby's phone. I'll call him to see if he's coming on the picnic. No answer.
You sure you dialed the right number?
Well,
Better look it up.
I'm not sure I know how.
Oh, that's easy. Let's let Mr. Mann show us. Now, what's Bobby's last name?
Martin. Robert Martin. We call him Bobby.
What's his father's first name?
His name is Robert.
Well, Mr. Mann is ready.
Attention! Robert Martin, front and center. Telephone book formation.
In the telephone book, the last name always comes first. Like that. Martin Robert.
Okay, suppose his name was Raymond.
Let's see. A comes before O in the alphabet. So R-A of Raymond comes before R-O of Robert.
I know.
And the telephone book is arranged in alphabetical order, as in the dictionary and the encyclopedia, where we look up words and facts.
Raymond Martin, telephone book formation.
How about Roger Martin?
You try it, Jimmy.
Let's see. All the letters are the same up to this point, but the next ones are different. In the alphabet, we see that G comes after B. So Roger is listed after Robert under the Martins in the telephone book.
That's right, Jimmy. Good.
Roger Martin, telephone book formation.
Now, what if his name were Robert Mayer? M-A-Y-E-R. Remember, the last name comes first in the telephone book.
Well, May comes after Mar because Y comes after R in the alphabet. So Robert Mayer would be after all the Martins in the telephone book.
Right again.
Now I can do it. Here it is. Martin and Robert. 22 Montrose. The number is 555-2368.
Be sure and write it down.
All right.
Telephone book is very helpful. Our friends are in it, like Robert Martin. Our doctor is in it.
The television repairman, the bicycle shop.
Then in this little book, I write down the numbers of people I call often. You should have one too, Jimmy. Saves a lot of time to keep the phone numbers of people you call often. Like your friend Bobby.
Oh, yes. Hey, look, the sun's out. Now we can go on our picnic. Hooray! I'll try to call Bobby again.
Well, tell him to meet us in front of the police station at 2:30. That way we can drop off the poster for Captain Adams.
All right. Mrs. Martin. This is Jimmy Matthews. May I please speak to Bobby? Thank you. Hi, Bobby. Listen, we'll meet you in front of the police station at 2:30. Don't forget to bring your ball and glove.
Hi, Tom.
Hi there.
Children, this is Captain Adams.
Hello, Captain Adams.
How are you today?
Fine.
I want to be a policeman when I grow up.
She wants to be everything when she grows up.
Here's the emergency poster you wanted.
Thanks.
I think Jimmy and Susie would like to know how valuable the telephone is in emergencies.
Good. You come inside for a minute and I'll show you. Now, the telephone helps us because it lets us know right away when we're needed and how, when, and where we can help people.
How would I call the police if I needed them?
This poster your uncle made will show you how. We want to use this to show children how to get help. In an emergency, you dial 0 to get the telephone operator. Be sure you hear the dial tone first. Remember?
Yes, sir.
A 0 is the last hole on the dial. Now see? Be sure you bring the dial all the way around to the stop. Then remove your finger and let the dial go back. Now you dial 0 once, and the operator will answer.
Then what?
Then you say, "I want a policeman, please," and the operator will connect you with the police station. Now, when somebody, like the sergeant here, answers, you tell him who you are, where you are, and why you're calling the police.
Police station, Sergeant Evers.
My Linda's lost.
Oh, that's too bad. May I have your name and address, please?
Mrs. Jane Hoskins.
Mm-hmm.
42 Barton.
And your phone number?
555-1029.
How old is Linda?
5.
5.
Yes.
Where did you see her last?
In our front yard.
And how long has she been missing?
Half hour.
And what was she wearing?
A sort of strawberry pink dress and a yellow cotton sweater.
A pink dress and a yellow sweater. Hmm?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mrs. Hoskins. Don't worry. We'll find her and let you know as soon as we do.
Oh, hurry.
Yes, ma'am. Goodbye.
Thanks, Sergeant. Now, see how careful we are to write everything down? Pardon me.
Yes, sir.
Get out an all-points bulletin. 5-year-old girl lost. Linda Hoskins. Last seen on Elm Street. Here's a description.
Sarge, this is Officer Jensen, 6th and Elm Street. That's what I'm calling you about. She was all alone, looking in a toy store window. Oh, sure, she's fine.
Good work, Officer Jensen. We'll have a car to pick her up right away.
See how the telephone helps us do our job? Call Mrs. Hoskins and tell her we found her little girl. Over here at the window, I want to show you something. There it is, the telephone building. In many ways, it ties the community together. When you dial a number, this equipment inside the telephone building automatically connects you with the person you're calling, whether he's across the street or miles and miles away. Thousands and thousands of calls go through here every day.
This is Riley's Dairy. We need 50 pounds of butter.
50 pounds of butter.
And 1 crate of large eggs.
We'll deliver it today.
This is Mrs. Lee, Doctor. When can I bring Tommy in for his checkup?
Let me see. How about Tuesday, 4 o'clock?
That will be fine.
Letty's Garage, Joe speaking.
This is Les Perkins. My produce truck's broken down. I don't know what's the matter.
Oh, where are you?
Highway 26 near Maple Avenue.
Okay, Les. I'll be right out.
Lena's mother asked me to stay for lunch. May I?
All right, Maria, but be home by 3 o'clock.
I will.
That shipment gone to Plainview yet?
Not yet, Carl. We're loading it now.
Good. Listen, Jess, they just called. They want 3 more cartons of soap.
Okay, Carl.
But telephone service wouldn't be complete without people to handle special calls and emergencies.
Let's hear what the operators are saying.
Mr. Hanson, please. Long distance calling. I'm sorry, the line is busy. I'll keep trying and call you. Mr. Marco, I'm ready on your call to Honolulu. I'll connect you with the fire department. On your call to Sunnyside, Mr. McCarthy will be back in an hour. Will you talk with anyone else? Thank you.
The fire department needs the telephone as much as we do.
I'm sure of that. Well, thanks a lot, Captain.
Not at all. Thank you for bringing the poster. Have fun, everyone.
Goodbye. It's after 2:30. I wonder where Bobby is.
I'm sure he'll be here soon.
Like Quacker.
Jet plane flies a lot higher and faster than Quacker.
Can telephones reach up into the sky?
They can and they do. And even more amazing, men are working with communication satellites that orbit the Earth. These satellites can carry telephone messages and television pictures to and from many different parts of the world.
And outer space?
Yes, Jimmy, outer space too. Man himself has entered space.
All systems go. A-OK.
Why, it's Mr. Man.
Yes. And just think, Jimmy and Susie, someday in the future you may pick up a telephone and soon be talking with your friend, even if he's on the moon.
When do we go, Uncle Ben?
Pretty soon.
Hey, Jimmy! Here he comes. Sorry I'm late, Jimmy. I couldn't find my glove. That's okay, Bobby. Let's go.
Well, do computers really think? To answer that, we'll have to find out what the word think means. Let's see if our computerized friend can help.
My data bank dictionary has many definitions of the verb to think.
What's the first one, please?
To think, to call to mind, to remember.
People can't always recall things the instant they want to, but storing information and recalling it is something electronic computers do remarkably well. In fact, it is this ability that makes their operation automatic. Once programmed, it can refer to its own memory for instructions and data. Of course, memory devices aren't new. They came into existence as soon as man learned he could use substitutes or symbols to represent the things he wanted to remember. The next time he wanted to know how many cows he owned, he could refer to the sack of pebbles instead of rounding up the herd again. Put the pebbles on a frame, and numbers could be stored simply by changing the pebbles' positions. Mechanical memories use all kinds of symbols, such as lines carved in marble, so you won't forget the glory of the past. Or strings on fingers, so you won't forget to pay your light bill. The familiar light switch is much closer in time and spirit to the kind of memory computers actually use. Lamp on, lamp off. Either way, this simple equipment is storing one bit or binary digit of information. With more lamps, greater quantities of information can be stored. But mechanical switches and lamps are too slow. modern computers use fast magnetic memory devices, such as tapes or discs, stacked like jukebox records, or tiny cores woven together like Indian beads. Large computers use these and other types of memory devices to achieve tremendous storage capacities. The computer being queried by this librarian can give her instant information on the whereabouts of any of the thousands of books in her charge. If remembering were the only definition of thinking, we'd have to put computers in the mental giant category.
It is not to think, to subject to the process of logical thought.
Playing chess certainly involves a high degree of logic. And this computer at MIT has been programmed to play a very respectable game. Its human opponent studies his move on an actual chessboard before feeding it into the computer. The computer then performs logic operations to determine its next move and displays it on this screen. It has even won first place in an amateur tournament. But how can a collection of wired hardware be capable of logic? Basically, logic is a predictable series of facts or events, such as closing this switch and this one to ring the bell. In fact, computer people call this a logic AND circuit. The same components can be rewired into a logic OR circuit to ring the bell by closing either this switch or this one. AND, OR, and many other kinds of elementary logic circuits are the basic building blocks that form the complex logic networks we call computers. The computer controlling this electronic telephone switching office makes millions of logical decisions every day, all with the infallible logic it takes to quickly connect the telephone to any of the more than 100 million other telephones in this country. That would be pretty good thinking if logic were the only definition.
There is also visualization, to think, to form a mental picture of.
All of us are capable of translating symbols into mental images. But computers aren't nearly as imaginative. They are very good, however, at taking abstract data, processing it, and producing pictures on cathode ray tubes. These are the complex motions of an orbiting satellite as seen from outer space. Even more interesting is the computer's ability to simulate designs or systems. This scientist at Bell Telephone Laboratories is designing an electronic circuit by drawing with a light pen on the face of a television screen connected to a computer. He can make changes in the design and simulate its operation without the necessity of actually building it.
When it comes to memory, logic, or forming images, we computers are pretty good thinkers.
Just a minute. Aren't there any other definitions?
Yes, to think, to perceive or recognize.
I think that's Mary.
When it comes to recognition, computers are still pretty inept. They can be made to see by means of optical or magnetic sensors, such as those used by this bank check reader. But so far, computers are limited to recognizing simple, well-defined patterns, like post office zip code numbers, provided they're typed and properly positioned. But teaching a computer to generalize, to recognize that all these symbols mean the same thing, is more difficult. When it comes to language translation, computers aren't very bright either. Some progress is being made, but the problems are enormous. Essentially, they boil down to one fact. There is no such thing as an absolute one-to-one correspondence between the words of one language and those of another. For example, when out of sight, out of mind was put through one translating computer, it came out as the foreign language equivalent of invisible imbecile. Imagine what mechanical translation would do to slang.
It is a frightening thought. May I go on to the next definition? To think, to have feeling or consideration for.
Computer programmers have been known to fall in love with their computers, but no computer was ever observed returning the sentiment. In fact, computers are absolutely devoid of feelings, and a good thing, too. They neither play favorites with programmers, nor get angry at their mistakes. Best of all, they never get bored. Like other machines, they can do the same monotonous chores all day long without complaining. But they can be programmed to simulate human emotion. Getting arty? I'll bet your next definition involves creativity.
Right. To think, to create or devise.
Creativity, a word just as hard to define as thinking, still seems to be a uniquely human capability. So far, no computer has ever composed a hit song. Painted a beautiful picture. Or designed an original dragster. But computers can be programmed to appear creative. All these pictures were drawn by computers. A computer has been used to produce animated pictures as well. One animated film produced by a computer is on the subject of producing animated films on a computer. The technique has already produced some interesting results. Like the pictures, the music you are listening to was also produced by a computer. The computer, an ingenious collection of electronic hardware, was created by man. It is also man who creates the programs that make the computer the useful tool that it is. Without a program, a computer is no more productive than a player piano without a music roll, or a jukebox without a record. Still, whether the big machines are creative or not is irrelevant when you consider their usefulness and efficiency. Billions of correct mathematical operations between errors, the equivalent of 1,000 people computing for a lifetime without making a mistake. But do they think? Well, let's say they carry out some processes that are similar to human thought. Or better yet, let's just say it all depends on what you mean by thinking.
Gentlemen, let me first point out that modern times call for modern methods. We Storks... well, Oliver, late again, I see.
I'm sorry, sir, but I just delivered my first baby.
Well, Oliver, I was about to say, we can no longer simply deliver the product. We must furnish instruction on its maintenance, too. Now, cleanliness is most important to baby's health. So let's discuss the daily bath. There are several approved methods of bathing a baby. Some mothers use a bassinet, a compact bathing unit with many conveniences. Others prefer a lap bath technique, which permits mother to sit down during the bath. Then there's the tabletop bath. This is the type we'll demonstrate, since it's easily adapted to any home. To set the stage, we'll choose a room that's comfortably warm, with the temperature between 75 and 80 degrees. Since regularity is important, the bath should come at the same hour every day. Just before the mid-morning feeding is a good time. The door should be closed to prevent drafts and to avoid interruption. Of course, the windows should be closed too, and there should be plenty of good light. For bath equipment, we'll start with a kitchen table. If necessary, we can protect the top with newspapers or a covering of oilcloth. Our bathtub is the sturdy, easy-to-clean enamel type. Next comes the bath tray. Our tray is really a cookie sheet, but any similar tray would do just as well. The first item on the tray will be a covered jar filled with cotton balls. Next, another jar containing small and large cotton swabs. Both these jars, by the way, are sterilized jelly glasses. Then mother will need a bottle of pure baby oil. Or many mothers are now using the new baby lotion. And some mothers prefer to use baby powder. Over here is a covered dish containing bland baby soap. And another cake of soap to hold safety pins. Finally, we'll add a small, flat dish to hold the baby oil or lotion for today's bath. And, oh yes, Mother should have a small paper bag with the top folded down, like this. It's a handy receptacle for used cotton and swabs. At this end of the table, we've placed a clean, folded blanket. And now we cover it with a large, soft bath towel. This is baby's pad, comfortable and firm. Next, a straight-back chair placed in this position will serve as a safety measure and also as a clothes rack. Clean clothes are hung in this order. First, baby's gown. Next, a fresh diaper. Then, a clean shirt, a wrapping blanket, and a washcloth. The seat of this chair, covered with newspapers, is ready to receive soiled clothes. Well, that's all there is to it. Here's the complete equipment for our tabletop bath.
Calling Dr. Oliver Stork. Calling Dr. Oliver Stork. Your appointment at 802 Maple Street was for 8 o'clock. It is now 10:30. Smith baby due. Urgent.
Good heavens! I almost forgot.
Quiet, gentlemen. We must continue. Now it's time for Mother to give her hands a thorough scrubbing and make sure they're free of any sharp, scratchy jewelry. Next, she fills baby's tub about 1/3 full with clear, warm water. Mother tests the water with her elbow to see that it's comfortably warm. Then Mother pours a small amount of oil into the little dish. Or if she prefers baby lotion, she uses that instead. And now comes a word of caution. Safety first. During the bath, Mother will stand in this position and never leave baby alone on the table. Well, my friends, everything is ready. And so it becomes my great pleasure to introduce the baby. Oops, the baby. Kitty, kitty, coo. Perhaps we should be more technical about this. Study the subject in diagram. There. That's much better. Now, when Mother handles the infant, her grip should be firm but gentle. Observe that one hand lifts, the other supports. When baby is on the table, he should be warmly covered at all times. To begin the bath, Mother folds the loose ends of the washcloth into her palm, like this. Then she uses clear, clean water from the tub and proceeds to wash baby's face. She washes each eye, rinsing the cloth between operations, and pays special attention to the nose and ears, too. Afterwards, a loose corner of the bath towel is used to pat baby's face dry. Next, her free hand supports baby's head, like this. Then she works up a lot of good suds. And now, using the palm of her hand, Mother rubs the lather well into baby's scalp. Oh, my. To continue, when it's time for rinsing, Mother needs a firm grip, like this football hold. It's safe and secure. The washcloth is used for rinsing. Mother is careful to protect baby's eyes and ears from soapy water. For drying the head, another corner of the bath towel is used. Bathing baby's body comes next. So after the gown is removed, the diaper is unpinned. And the pin stuck in the bar of soap safely out of baby's reach. The soiled diaper may be left for the time being on the newspaper-covered chair. And a ball of cotton dipped in oil or lotion will cleanse baby's buttocks if they are soiled. Next, Mother again tests the temperature of the bath to make sure it's just right. Then she again works up a good lather. With her soapy hand, she goes over baby's entire body. Arms, chest, legs, gentlemen, the creases. Creases are most important. They should be soaped thoroughly, both front and back. All right, baby's all ready for the tub now. Mother keeps a good firm grip to prevent slipping. Slowly, feet first, in he goes. Say, I wonder if baby's enjoying this. Why, he's having the time of his life. And Mother rinses his chest and arms and tummy, and then she rinses his back until all the soap is gone. But soon the fun is over. And before he knows it, baby's being thoroughly dried from top to bottom. Oiling baby comes next, and here's a large swab that's been dipped in either baby oil or lotion. Mother lightly moistens her fingers from it, and beginning behind the ears, she oils all the skin folds. And Mother doesn't miss a single crease, for red, raw creases can be very painful. Next, a small swab, dipped in oil or lotion, is used to cleanse the genitals. Now, with the oiling finished, Mother drops the bath towel to the chair and replaces it with a clean, dry wrapping blanket. Well, all that remains is to put on baby's shirt, then his diaper, pinned snugly in place, then his little gown. And now, with the bath over, Mother once more wraps our baby in his soft, warm blanket. Well, gentlemen, that's all there is to it. A simple version of baby's daily bath.
Hey, fellas! I had 3 babies! I mean, my client had triplets!
Triplets? Well, congratulations, Oliver.
Isn't it wonderful?
Quiet, gentlemen. Now, back to work. And remember what the doctor says.
What sort of a day was it? A day like any other day, except this was.
Oh, whoops.
The day of the great presentation. We move now directly to the scene where the kaleidoscopic events began, to the local pharmacy, owned and operated by Doc McDougal, who carries on in the fine tradition of his father as guardian of health in his community.
What you got for hiccups, Doc?
But, Doc, is this cover the real me?
I want 2 3-cent stamps.
Doc, don't you think Petey needs vitamins?
I
Yes, carefree Doc McDougal bravely carries on, aided by his friend and advisor, Pete Smart, his local wholesaler salesman, who helps Doc stay progressive, ahead of consumer demands.
Got just the thing to fix you up, Doc. This new Shavo Fluff. Look, the can sings, "Wake up, you sleepyhead," and the foam is polka dot. It's sensational.
Yeah, well, who wants polka dots?
I want some polka dot shavo fluff, please.
I tell you, why fight it?
Okay, I'll take 2.
Only dozens.
2. And you tell me where I put it.
Don't worry, Doc, old boy. Pete Smart can always make space.
Now, you be careful up there, Pete. Pete? Pete!
I want some polka dot shavo fluff, please.
Yes, progress was on the march in this happy little scene, when into this world of fast-moving merchandising came Joe Murch, the J&J salesman.
What's this, Doc? New display?
Very funny.
Now, you stay comfortable right there. I've got just what you need, a brand new product.
New product?
Another one?
Now, just look. Here's an item.
Careful, that's DC.
We've needed for years.
Don't do that.
A new, improved gauze bandage.
Hey, look out! Get out of here!
Yes, this was a day like any other day, except for the fact that this was the day of the great presentation. Doc and Pete were not interested, but the nation was.
And I am, because I'm introducing the first major advancement in surgical roll gauze bandage in over 70 years. I'm introducing a new, improved gauze bandage so superior as to make any other roll bandage on the market obsolete. It's Johnson & Johnson's Red Cross Improved Bandage. And as I said,
yes,
this is...
Joe was still enthused. Meanwhile, mounting public pressure made Joe Murch the focal point for news-hungry television. Here in Studio B, Joe is about to be interviewed.
Okay, Joe, now just answer the questions we rehearsed, all right? No tricks, buddy boy.
Which camera do I look at?
Yeah, just look at me.
Oh, yes, but I want to...
Stand by.
Once again, here is Ike Malice.
Tell me, Mr. Murch, what started all the excitement?
Why, this box of Red Cross Improved Gauze Bandage. I've got it here somewhere. Red Cross Improved Bandage. Oh, here.
Watch the commercials, buddy. Improved, you say? Why? What's wrong with old-style roll bandages?
Wrong? Oh, my. Ever put on old-style bandages neatly?
No, but I'm no expert.
Well, that's right. I mean, almost nobody is. That's the trouble. Let me show you here.
Yeah, Murch, I said no tricks.
Old-style gauze bandage is hard to wrap. Yes, indeed. Won't conform, so it looks terrible. Mm-hmm. And either it constricts or gets loose and unravels like that. Drop it, and it runs like a rabbit. No longer sanitary. You see, it's not that people are clumsy. It's old-style bandages that are clumsy.
So you feel people need a better bandage, is that it?
We know it. Yes, indeed.
But can you prove your new bandage is better?
Can I prove it? Look here.
Yeah, the camera's this way, Joe.
Oh, yes, sorry. You can prove it yourself with the figure-8 test.
Figure-8 test? You mean...
Ah, Malice, not exactly. Here, try it.
I don't want to try it.
Why not?
I haven't rehearsed it.
Oh, come on, it's easy.
Oh, all right.
Now, take this roll of Red Cross Improved Bandage like that and start winding it around your hand in a figure-8. That's it. Feel that lightweight, soft comfort? Better, isn't it? Oh, that's fine. Keep going. Notice that built-in elasticity there? Due to the special processing of pure cotton gauze, that's pure cotton gauze. That bandage won't constrict ever. Yeah, that's right. Get the way it conforms to the shape you're bandaging there? That gives you greater protection. Keep going. You notice how it sticks to itself? Oh, isn't that great? Makes the job lots easier. See, it makes a neat professional wrap quickly. Now you've got it. Because it's conforming and it doesn't come loose. Now does it, Mr. Malice?
No, you're right, Joe.
I tell you, Malice, this is going to revolutionize the roll bandage market.
What makes you so sure?
Well, just watch. Plug this in, will you, fella?
Yeah, Murch, where are you going?
Come back. Just getting those lights off. Oh, I forgot that music stand there. Roll 'em!
No.
You see here? We first made Red Cross Improved Bandage for the United States Army in Korea. There, the speed and ease of application plus added protection were vital in sustaining life. And since the Korean War, hospitals throughout the nation have used and are using this improved bandage as a staple supply. Never before has any roll bandage been so thoroughly clinically tested. Moreover, doctors prefer their patients use Red Cross Improved Bandage because they know its merits. Projector off there,
Interesting, Murch. But who cares?
Who? Pharmacists, that's who. They're interested in products that improve the health and well-being of their communities. This Red Cross Improved Bandage here is important to them as a service to their customers. That's why...
Enough, Murch. This is an interview, not a commercial. Now, let's face it. Won't adhesive bandages take care of all home needs?
And I say to you, no. Because...
Now, what the...
1/3 of all injuries treated at home are large injuries that need bandage. And right now, 70% of American homes are not prepared to handle these larger injuries. Think of the market there.
So there's a market. What makes you think your product will sell better?
Think. Oh, we know. Why, in 4 test markets, it outsold all competitive brands combined. That's proof there.
Watch it!
Guess I was a little too strong on that one.
Murch, if I ever get you off the air...
Snap on that projector over there, please. I can't find it.
My show. My sponsor. My...
See how this mother quickly covers and protects that knee there? Just shows you how easy Red Cross Improved Bandage is to use, even on difficult areas. And because Red Cross Improved Bandage is easier and faster, she'll use more of it. And knowing it's more convenient and protective, she'll like using roll-type bandage, so she'll use it more often. And 1 piece of tape, she's finished. That little girl there, she likes it too. See, she can bend her knee comfortably and run back to play with her mother confident that Red Cross Improved Bandage won't come loose, unravel, or slip. Lights up!
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Murch. Now back
Now, here is the point. Since customers like it better, use more, they'll buy more. This means faster turnover for the wholesaler and druggist, plus greater dollar volume because of Red Cross Improved Bandage's higher unit sale. And it's all in the package designed to pre-sell customers and to help the pharmacist describe quickly why it is the best sterile bandage. There's the famous Red Cross trademark with the most trusted name in surgical dressings. Then the name, and conforming gauze tells how the product works. Softer, easier to use, and adapts to any shape. Tells why it's better. Every word carefully tested among hundreds of housewives and designed to sell.
Okay, Murch, you're through.
This product will revolutionize the market.
Murch, we've got to get off the air.
Think of that new market.
Think of my show.
Think of the sales.
Somebody help me.
Think of the higher unit sales.
Somebody help me.
Faster turnover.
Get this guy out of here.
And people did think and took action. Doc McDougal and Pete were thinking too.
As I see it, Doc, this Red Cross Improved Bandage can revolutionize the whole roll bandage market.
What do you mean?
Well, you know how much better it is.
Well, it certainly does a better job. I tried that figure 8 test, and it's got old-style bandages beat all around.
You see, it's terrific. But I like the higher unit sale, the faster turnover.
I like the way it conforms. It sticks to itself.
More women using it because it's easier.
You know, this Red Cross Improved Bandage...
So you get greater dollar profit,
is
Doc.
one product I can really recommend as a pharmacist.
Doc, I said greater dollar profit.
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, greater dollar profit.
I thought you were slipping for a minute, Doc.
Now, look here. Here's a product I want to sell. It's better for my customers. I don't need you to tell me...
Yes, it was a day like any other day, except Joe Murch made his great presentation.
Yes, I introduced Red Cross Improved Bandage. Oh, whoops.
Charlie, we've had our eye on you for quite a while. Watching you work, seeing how you get along with people, noticing how you think things through. And you've passed every test with flying colors. In fact, you've done so well that we're taking your job away from you. I mean, Charlie, we're making you a supervisor. From now on, you're in charge. You'll be communicating, evaluating, coaching, helping, suggesting, training, getting things done through people. People from other departments, people from management, people in your own section, people alongside you, above you, below you. In short, Charlie, you're a leader. Well, what do you say? A leader, Charlie. A leader. A leader. A leader. Trying to figure out what kind of a leader to be, huh, Charlie? Wondering how to get people to follow you. Maybe you ought to be happy-go-lucky. Good time, Charlie. That'll make them like you.
That Charlie, what a sense of humor. Never hear an unpleasant word from Charlie. Good old Charlie.
Or maybe you ought to be well-informed. Charlie the wise. That'll win their respect.
Ask Charlie. He knows all the answers. That Charlie's a good thinker. You can always depend on Charlie.
Or maybe you ought to be tough, decisive. Charlie the Great. Get him to obey you with no questions asked.
Charlie's strict as they come, but he's fair. When Charlie says do it, he means do it. Charlie knows how to keep people in line.
Or maybe, Charlie, you shouldn't be thinking about who you're going to be. Maybe you should be thinking about where you're going to go, your purpose, your objectives. That's the first thing a good leader needs, Charlie. A good, strong sense of direction. Without it, he can't lead anybody anywhere, except into confusion. Once he knows where he's headed, once he's clear about the job he's got to do and why, he's on the road to leadership. He drives for production, getting the job done. He drives for efficiency, getting it done with the least possible cost in time, money, and effort. He drives through efficient production for the satisfaction of company goals, its standards, its leadership, its future. And once he's got his objectives clear, he can begin to lead other people toward it. And he falls into line with others who have the same objectives, are headed in the same direction. He takes his place in a formation, a communications network on the move. Every station sending and receiving essential information.
Acme is talking about an across-the-board reduction in price. Materials expected last week aren't here yet.
Reservation ticket office airport. Passengers no longer allowed entry Big Rock without visa.
Original invoice shows that order was placed for...
Commissary, requesting special meal service as follows for important groups.
Model number 814 is being outsold because of outmoded Framis.
The network keeps all its stations informed of changes in conditions up ahead, calls for adjustments to accommodate, advises that instructions be passed on down the line, so that the formation as a whole can maintain consistent direction, speed, and altitude. Of course, a strong sense of direction and purpose is just the first thing a leader has to have. It's important for him to know where he's going, but it's just as important for him to be sure that he's got the energy it takes to get there. His own individual energy isn't enough. What he needs to draw on is the full energy of the group. The energy of the group. That's what makes things go. That's what gets things done. All that human energy at your disposal. Skills, brains, talent. Your job is to direct it, coordinate it, organize it to do the work that has to be done. But before you can use it, the energy of the group has to be available. Available for work. Available to do the job. Lost energy, Energy that's allowed to dissipate. It can let you down, and hard. How does energy get lost? It happens for many reasons. Sometimes it gets blocked, locked up inside.
How many times do I have to explain? Don't you ever get anything right?
Frozen energy, congealed by fear.
Stupid, careless, you ought to be fired.
Chilled by criticism, immobilized by doubt. Sometimes productive energy simply goes up in smoke.
He gives me all the dirty jobs and gives all the good assignments to his buddies. But just wait, one of these days I'll get my chance. And when I do, I'm going to make that supervisor pay.
Energy burned up by resentment over favoritism and unfair practices. In some cases, energy just melts away.
Nobody even knows I'm alive. Never a word about whether I'm doing my job right or wrong. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. My job's not important. I'm not important.
Energy draining away through neglect, dying of lack of motivation. And think of all the productive energy that's lost in clashes between co-workers, tugs of war between departments, petty skirmishes up and down the line. All that waste doesn't just happen, Charlie. It's caused, brought about by methods of supervision that never really worked and which are now obsolete. This species was known as the empire builder.
If I can make my job seem mysterious and complicated, arrange things so nobody can understand them, I'll be indispensable.
His method was to hold back essential information from his employees. But as it worked out, he held himself back. Trying to hold others down, he brought about his own downfall. The loud-mouthed fault finder. His method was to scare intelligent people into acting stupid. When stupidity went out of style, he went with it. The one-man band. Never delegated anything. Tried to do it all himself.
You'll have it first thing in the morning. I'm doing it myself. No, I'll take care of it myself. I'll write it, read it, answer it, correct it.
He died of organizational complexity, strangled by incoming calls. The credit grabber was just the opposite. Never did a thing, just claimed all the credit when things went right. When they went wrong, he generously shared the blame.
This is a recording. I'm sorry, the number you have reached is not a working number.
He was reclassified as dead wood. No one has ever come to claim him.
I'm sorry, the number you have reached is not a working number.
The world moved on, and they never noticed till too late that yesterday was done for. You're a new kind of leader, Charlie. Brought into being by new conditions, new growth, new speed, new competition, new ways of doing things. Conditions that demand new kinds of knowledge, new flexibility, new skill in dealing with human beings. Well, what basic equipment will you need? First, a comprehensive knowledge of your product, accurate and up-to-date. Second, a steady eye on your objectives, production, efficiency, company standards. And third, the understanding that these can only be achieved by making the best use of all the energies at your disposal. By maintaining discipline in a positive, constructive way. By giving people the recognition they deserve and need. By distributing rewards with justice and without favor. By developing your people's strength through training and then giving them responsibilities in keeping with their growing aptitudes. Because in the last analysis, their strength is yours. Leadership is the art of directing other people's minds toward a goal.
Throughout recorded time, barriers of one kind or another have blocked man's progress. But trails of knowledge are constantly being blazed through such barriers as fear, ignorance, superstition, and intolerance by men of vision seeking a better world. In the field of public health, the barriers are mountains of disease, the killers of men. To conquer these mountains, scientists of all kinds have banded together in medical research teams. Examining what was already known about a specific disease, these medical explorers determined the direction for the most promising lines of future investigation. Thus, they formed a concept for their research. With the proper equipment, the right personnel, and enough time, scientists have discovered and developed methods of controlling many of the killers of men. But other mountains on the medical horizon are still unconquered. Perhaps the most challenging of these is cancer. For cancer is not one, but many diseases of the same general type. To conquer cancer, scientists are working all over the world, from Copenhagen to Rio, from Melbourne to Tokyo. Here in the United States, research goes on in dozens of institutions all over the country. In the heart of New York City, at Memorial Center for Cancer and Allied Diseases, there is a completely integrated research organization and a functioning division of a medical college. The center includes 2 hospitals specializing in cancer work and a prevention clinic which provides the vital service of early examination for cancer to over 15,000 people each year. And linked to these, serving and being served by them, is Memorial Center's research headquarters, the Sloan Kettering Institute. Here in the Institute, a combined staff of over 300 people carry on the vital function of research. The staff includes bacteriologists, biochemists, physicists, and technicians of every kind who are working with over $1 million worth of the finest equipment modern science can provide. Together, they carry on the constant search that can never end until cures for cancer in all its forms have been found. Each year, Sloan Kettering and its affiliates outside New York invest over $2.5 million in research. 2/3 of this amount comes from grants by organizations such as the National Cancer Institute of the United States Public Health Service, the American Cancer Society, the Damon Runyon Fund, the Atomic Energy Commission, and the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation. The remaining 1/3 of the money for research must be raised from individuals or private donations. These contributions make possible Sloan Kettering's research program, which has 2 basic objectives: the prevention and cure of cancer. Each is of great importance, but this film is concerned primarily with routes that may lead to cure. This search for a cure began when enough information about cancer was available to enable scientists at Sloan Kettering to form a definite concept for an orderly program of research. This concept is based on the fact that the human body is made up of billions of infinitesimal building blocks called cells. In each of our bodies, there exists a teeming, kaleidoscopic universe of cell life. Our cells, like microscopic humans, live, breathe, eat, grow old, and die. When a cell dies, a younger one divides to provide a similar cell to replace it. Once in a great while, something goes wrong. And in dividing, a normal cell produces a cancer cell, which in turn produces more and more cancer cells. These stronger cancer cells crowd out and destroy normal cells. In cases of localized cancer, that is, cancer which has not spread beyond its original location, cure is already an everyday reality. Localized cancer can be cured effectively by surgery and sometimes by X-ray. But at the present time, in 75% of the cases, cancer, when detected, already has disseminated or spread from one specific location to other parts of the body beyond the range of present cures. The search for a cure for disseminated cancer is based on the fact that there are definite differences in the makeup, behavior, and habits of cancer cells and normal cells. Therefore, Sloan Kettering's research concept is to determine these differences exactly in order to find the vulnerable point in the cancer cell and destroy it without harming the normal cell. Thus, the most detailed study of body cells is a continuing process at the Institute. Some of the most remarkable instruments modern science has devised, such as the mass spectrometer and the electron microscope, have become powerful allies in the search for more information about the differences between normal and cancer cells. For example, it is now known that normal cells and cancer cells have different appetites. The normal cell utilizes certain chemical compounds for food, while the cancer cell, with a different appetite, prefers other chemical combinations which the normal cell rejects. Research determines the special chemical foods preferred by cancer cells and replaces them with substances which closely resemble the preferred items in the cancer cell's diet. These substitutes have no nutritional value. They won't combine with the other elements in the cancer cell's diet. And lacking the proper nutritional elements, the cancer cell starves and dies. Another method of attacking the cancer cell is by adding to preferred items of his diet radioactive compounds. When the cancer cell consumes this food, the lethal dose of radioactivity destroys the cell like a miniature atom bomb. Meanwhile, the normal cell, with its different food preferences, avoids the deadly items that destroy the cancer cell. This cell appetite study is perhaps the most promising phase of the research program, which may lead to the cure of disseminated cancer. Another route which research workers of the Institute are exploring in their search for a cure of disseminated cancer involves the study of viruses. Every sufferer from even a common cold has known the effect of a virus. Viruses are minute parasites which invade live cells. Multiplying inside the cell by stealing its vital parts, the virus particle often destroys the cell. In their study of cancer in animals, research workers have found that certain viruses will feed on special types of cancer cells and will destroy some of them. Feeding these viruses exclusively on cancer tissue actually increases their appetite for cancer cells and their ability to destroy them. Thus, in animal cancers, these viruses can be used as guided missiles to seek out and destroy only cancer cells. One of many studies involves an exotic tropical virus, Egypt 101, injected into a hamster in which a living human cancer has been implanted. The virus lives and multiplies on the cancer tissue. With succeeding generations of growth, the virus becomes increasingly effective as a destroyer of cancer cells. While the virus study program moves forward, scientists are exploring still another route which may lead to the cure of disseminated cancer. That is the study of antibodies. This study is based on the fact that within the circulatory system of every human being, the body is continually defending itself against invading infections and diseases by producing antibodies. Antibodies are large protein molecules manufactured by the cells. These antibodies act like a kind of special police force. Each type of antibody has a specific shape, and when an invading organism with a matching shape is to be dealt with, those antibodies gang up on that invader and render it harmless. When an organism with a different shape appears, the cells produce other antibodies with matching shapes to enable them to capture this new invader. These invaders are then enveloped by the white corpuscles and ejected from the body. The known differences in the form and structure of normal and cancer cells have led scientists to try to develop an antibody with a specific shape to fit a special type of cancer cell. There is reason to believe that if the antibodies are then given the added weapon of radioactivity, they may have the power to destroy the cancer cells completely. In each and all of Sloan Kettering's lines of investigation leading to the cure of disseminated cancer, the Institute collaborates constantly with over 100 universities, industrial laboratories, and chemical concerns in the exchange of information about the disease. This collaboration has made possible the testing of thousands of compounds for their effects on cancer. Some of these compounds were manufactured by the agencies with which Sloan Kettering collaborates, some by the Institute itself, but all undergo a rigorous testing program. For example, each compound received at the Institute is first cataloged as to source and type, and its chemical structure carefully recorded. This is 6-mercaptopurine, one of the purine group. Numbered for identification, the compound will be known as SK5357 for its entire course of testing through the Institute. In the pharmacology section, an injectable form of the compound is used to determine the correct dose for rats and mice. Then the compound is injected into a fast-growing cancer, which has been implanted in live mice. If this compound will retard the cancer, if it diminishes its size, or even better, kills the cancer without harming the mouse, the compound is sent on for other tests. One of these is a test of the compound's effect on human tissue. It involves a phenomenon many scientists long considered impossible, the growing of living human tissue in a test tube. And what is more, normal and cancer tissue growing side by side at the same speed. This test determines the possible preference of the compound for cancer tissue and whether or not it is harmful to normal tissue. In the embryology laboratory, research workers test the effect of the compound on growing chick embryos, as well as its effect on cancer planted on the embryos. A further step determines the range of the compound's effectiveness on more than a score of different types of animal cancer. The compound may then be tested on larger animals, and if it still shows promise, a staff conference on the highest level is held. And when there is agreement that evidence points to real hope, the decision is made. The compound will be tried on patients with advanced cancer for whom there is no other known treatment. There is the case of the child, literally too ill to be photographed when first brought to Memorial, who within 2 weeks was sitting up to receive her treatment. And even though thus far the recovery can only be considered temporary, research workers know that each added hour in the life of a stricken child is a step toward the final goal. Meanwhile, in other sections of hospital and institute, other treatments and other compounds continue to be tested. The testing program only emphasizes Memorial Center's complete integration, philosophically as well as physically. Whether the research program concerns a new drug, or as in this case, the use of radioactive isotopes in the treatment of thyroid cancer, the closeness of hospital to laboratory is of vital importance. In effect, hospital bed and laboratory bench are mutually helpful and mutually supporting. Another phase of the research program at the Institute is concerned with the body's production of hormones and their relation to cause and prevention of cancer. In actual laboratory practice, a single urine specimen may pass through literally scores of separating and fractionating processes and undergo tests on a dozen different machines. Some of the tests involve radioactive isotopes and require techniques and instruments as new as the atomic age itself. And the specific program of hormone research has had very encouraging laboratory results. These mice are a case in point. They are of a specially bred strain which nearly always gets cancer. But researchers have managed, by injecting them with certain sex hormones, to actually prevent cancer in these particular animals. The extension of the hormone study program to the treatment of human beings has already resulted in the temporary control of certain types of existing cancer. In every section of the Institute, the search goes on. Today, for instance, there are a number of chemical compounds which have proven useful in temporarily controlling some forms of cancer in man. And while it must be emphasized that no cure for disseminated cancer in man has yet been found, the results of the various research programs at Sloan Kettering are blazing trails of knowledge for the future. Research workers all over the world are continuing the assault on the mountains of cancer. The success thus far in seeking passes through these mountains has inspired high hopes. With continued support and encouragement, these medical explorers will, in the foreseeable future, achieve their final goal in finding a cure for disseminated cancer and eventually the means for preventing cancer. Then, another obstacle will have been overcome in man's continuing progress toward a better and fuller life.